When it comes to N64 sports games, it's fair to say that Konami had a far superior arsenal of games than its rivals such as EA. But that doesn't mean that every sports game they made was a hit. For every International Superstar Soccer which showed just how good they were, there was a Nagano Winter Olympics to undo all of the great work they had shown. So in the year 2000, Konami released International Track Field 2000. As the name suggests, it's a track and field game in the style of the age-old button mashers we loved from previous generations. However, this time it seemed that even Konami themselves couldn't decide just what to do with the game. Originally it was a Blockbuster exclusive rental title, which had you plodding along down to your local rental store to pick it up for the weekend. However, it eventually found a very small distribution to select retailers, but by that point there was no real promotion or hype behind it. But don't let that fool you into thinking this is a game to write off as just another poor title. While it's by no means perfect, it does have its moments of brilliance. You've just got to work really hard to experience them. As expected, the game sees you picking from one of 12 countries to represent in a number of different track and field disciplines. Real Olympic events such as shot put, javelin, pole vault and so on are all present, as well as some of the lesser expected events such as swimming and shooting disciplines. You can pick between different game modes, so if you want a quick pick up and play, you can choose the trial mode with its single events that you can play as you please. If you prefer to have a more complete experience, you can enter the championship mode and take on a series of events across a number of days, with the aim of picking up the most combined points total and being crowned the overall champion. Without a doubt, one of the first things you'll notice about the game is its surprisingly great graphics. With expansion pack support, the overall look of the game is crisp and very clear, and even without this, the extended resolution does the job very well. While the animations are notoriously stiff, as is the case with a lot of N64 games, there is full motion capture which does add some life to the athletes. Konami clearly decided to drop the quality of the backgrounds to bump up the quality of the athletes, as is the case with most sports games, but you'll rarely be looking at the backgrounds, so this was a smart move. The game's audio is also another highlight. Sure, there are no epic scores or melodic beats, but the entire audio library sounds realistic and clear. The stadium announcer does a solid, if at times lifeless job, and the crowd cheers and reacts to your displays of skill, or lack thereof. So it's the gameplay where the game really becomes a mixed bag. The game suffers from the exact same issue that has always existed in sports games which have multiple disciplines. Some of the events are very well done, whereas others will leave you tearing your hair out in frustration. Before you tackle each event, you'll be given a quick demo to show you what the controls are for that event. For events such as sprinting, this is a straightforward affair of mashing two buttons as quickly as possible. It's easy to pick up and for anyone to come along and play it with you. The game becomes a whole different ballgame when some of the more complex events come into play. Events such as the horizontal bar see you having to build up a stamina meter, press buttons, and also move buttons and press combos. All of this takes place in a matter of seconds, so you'll need reflexes of a ninja to be able to successfully pull off even a basic performance. And that's ultimately where the game falls down. Sure, there's a whole ton of events, plus a lot of secret ones to unlock. In games of this type, it's all about the controls, and many of the events verge on being unplayable due to the overly complicated controls needed to actually perform the event. But what I see as a downfall, I'm pretty sure that many of you will see as a positive. I see this type of game as being a pick up and play affair, where short bursts of play serve the game's purpose. But there will be those of you who will adore and relish the insane challenge the game contains. There's something uniquely satisfying about breaking a world record, and with such a steep learning curve, you can put a lot of practice into becoming very good at the game. Anyone who's ever played a game like this, no matter what system it's on, will tell you one thing, and that's that the multiplayer is really where games of this type come to life. To enjoy this as a multiplayer experience, you'll really need to choose what events you play carefully. If you stick to the more basic button mashers, you should be okay no matter who you're playing with. But if you venture into some of the more complex events, it's likely that your multiplayer party will quickly become as entertaining as a women's first round curling playoffs. But looking at the game as a whole, it's worth thinking about the context in which it was released. By going for a rental only market, the game would have made a solid weekend blast of play. You could play the events that you like, disregard the ones you didn't, and by Sunday night you could drop it off back at the store with only a handful of change later. but when the game landed as a retail release in select stores, it really wouldn't have afforded a full purchase price except to the most dedicated of Konami sports fans. So for today's topic of conversation, I want to know what you think the best summer event game ever made was. Personally, I do have a soft spot for Athlete Kings, as I think that the perfect balance between skill and some pure arcade fun made the game a great blast to play. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and until next time.